The doctor didn't flinch. That was the first thing Evangeline noticed. He didn't lean forward, he didn't soften his tone, he just looked down at the chart and said it like it was weather. It's stage 2, aggressive. We need to start treatment immediately. The words hit her like cold glass to the face. She blinked, once, then again. I'm sorry, what? Dr. Morrison looked up, his eyes calm, too calm. The scans show multiple growths. The tumor isn't localized anymore. Evangeline gripped the sides of her chair. The room, sterile and humming with low fluorescent light, suddenly felt like a coffin. She wasn't just sick, she was in a fight for her life. What are my options? She asked, her voice trembling but steady. Dr. Morrison flipped a page. There's the standard chemo, of course, but in your case, your best shot is an experimental therapy. It's aggressive, targeted. It has a 70% success rate compared to 15% with standard treatment. Evangeline's eyes widened. Then we do that, right? We go with the 70%. The doctor paused. It's not covered by insurance. A beat of silence. How much? $200,000, out of pocket. Her heart sank. That was more than she had, way more. Dr. Morrison leaned forward for the first time. I know that's a lot, but in your case, Evangeline, it's the only real chance we've got. She nodded, numb. And somewhere deep inside, something cracked open. Not fear, not even sadness. It was the beginning of betrayal. But she just didn't know it yet. $200,000. The number echoed in Evangeline's mind like a cruel joke that wouldn't stop repeating itself. $200,000 wasn't just a number. It was a wall. It was a death sentence dressed up in polite paperwork and medical codes. She sat alone in her car in the hospital parking lot, still gripping the discharge papers like they might change if she held them tighter. That therapy, the one with the 70% success rate, that was her lifeline. And now it dangled just out of reach, with a price tag higher than her student loans, her car, her apartment combined. She had no savings, no wealthy relatives, just a full-time job that paid decently enough for rent, food, and surviving, but not for saving her life. She thought of calling her mom, just for support, maybe advice, maybe even help, but a strange knot twisted in her stomach. She hadn't even spoken to her parents about the diagnosis yet. Her thumb hovered over the call button. It's fine, she whispered. They'll understand. They'll help. They have to. After all, her parents were trustees of her late grandmother's emergency medical fund, the family trust. Something her grandmother had insisted on, money that could be used if any member of the family ever faced a true crisis. This is that crisis, Evangeline told herself. She pressed call. The living room smelled like vanilla candles and new money. Evangeline stepped in slowly, still clutching her purse, her fingers clenched tight around the corner of the printout from Dr. Morrison. Her parents were on the couch. Marcus and Bethany were on the floor, surrounded by glossy magazines and wedding brochures. "Oh my God, Maui has a slot open at the Ritz," her mother squealed. "Marcus, wouldn't that be perfect?" "It's $150,000 just for the venue," Bethany added excitedly. "But come on, you only get married once." Evangeline cleared her throat. "Hey, I need to tell you something." No one looked up. Her father was typing numbers into a calculator. Marcus laughed about table linen colors. "It's important," she said louder. Her dad waved dismissively. "Evangeline, can it wait? We're trying to figure out the budget here." She stared at them in disbelief. "It's about my health," she said, voice shaky. "I have cancer." The room went still. Her mother slowly put down the brochure. Her father looked up. Marcus stopped mid-joke. "It's stage 2, Evangeline continued. "Aggressive. I need treatment immediately." Sweetheart, her mom began, her voice already coated in fake calm. The therapy with the best success rate isn't covered, Evangeline added. It's experimental. It's $200,000. Silence. Her father leaned back. That's a lot of money. But it's my best shot, she said, barely holding it together. The doctor says I have an actual chance, 70%, if I can get that therapy. Her mom gave a tight smile. Aren't there other options, less expensive ones? Yes, Evangeline replied, ones with a 15% chance of success. Well, numbers are just numbers, her dad said. Doctors like to scare people. Remember Marcus's leg? Her mom added. They said he'd never play football again, but look at him now. He hasn't played football since high school, Evangeline muttered, but no one heard her. Or maybe they just didn't care. Not now, Evangeline. 4 words. That was all her father said. She had just mentioned the $200,000 cost of the experimental treatment, still trembling, still hoping for any sign of concern, any trace of urgency. And that was his answer. Not now. As if she'd asked to borrow the car, as if she'd interrupted a movie. Marcus cleared his throat uncomfortably. Bethany busied herself with her nails. Evangeline felt heat rise in her face. Her chest tightened, not from cancer, but from disbelief. This isn't about scheduling, she said. It's about whether I live or die. Don't be dramatic, her father replied, without looking up from the calculator. We'll figure something out. Her mom nodded. Sweetheart, you're strong. You've always been strong. Strength won't stop my tumor from growing, Evangeline whispered. Her words hung in the air. No one caught them. Maybe we scale down the guest list, Bethany offered hesitantly. Instead of 300 people, we could do 250. Her mother gasped like she'd suggested canceling the wedding. We can't uninvite people. What would they think? Evangeline laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. Maybe they'll think your daughter's life is worth more than shrimp towers and imported orchids. The silence was immediate. Cold, heavy. Her dad looked at her, jaw tight. You're always making everything about yourself. And that was the moment she realized they hadn't just ignored her pain. They had already moved on. The words came slowly, like poison being dripped into a glass of wine. We'll think about it. Her father's voice was low, measured. Her mother offered a small nod, fingers now folding the brochure closed. Yes, her mother echoed. Let's not make any decisions tonight. Let's sleep on it. Evangeline blinked. Hope flickered, faint, but alive. Maybe they were coming around. Maybe they understood now. I'm not asking for luxury, she said. I'm asking for a chance to live. Her mom smiled weakly. Of course, darling, of course. We just need time to weigh everything. Think it through. The room started packing itself up. Brochures tucked back into folders. The calculator turned off. Her father stood up to pour a glass of wine. It was over. The meeting was over. Evangeline stood frozen, clutching the lab report like a lifeline. You'll talk to the bank, right? She asked. Yes. We'll explore our options, her father said. It's a family emergency, Evangeline repeated. That's what the trust is for. Her parents exchanged a look, not one of urgency, not of worry, but of calculation. We know, her mom said, voice soft. We know. But deep down in her gut, Evangeline felt it. That sentence, we'll think about it, wasn't a promise. It was a decision already made. They had looked her in the eyes and chosen to lie. That night, Evangeline didn't sleep. She stared at the ceiling of her apartment, the shadows on the wall stretching long and sharp like claws. 70. That number was her only comfort. She replayed it in her head over and over again like a lifeline mantra. You have a 70% chance if you start treatment now. It wasn't a guarantee, but it wasn't a death sentence either. It was something. And her parents, surely once they processed the shock, they'd come around, right? The next morning, she returned to the house. Her voice was steadier, her face more composed. "Mom, Dad, can we talk again? Just 5 minutes." Her mother hesitated. "Marcus and Bethany have the florist coming in half an hour." "Then give me 10 minutes now." Her dad sighed, annoyed but nodded. Evangeline took a deep breath. "I know it's a lot. $200,000 is more than I can even imagine. But this therapy, this isn't a gamble. It's not a fantasy. It's science. It's 70% odds." Her mom folded her arms. "And what about the 30%? "I'll take those odds," Evangeline said. "Every day of my life, I will fight for that 70%, but I can't do it without your help." "The wedding is already in motion," her dad said slowly. "Vendors' deposits, there are contracts involved." "You mean you're already spending the money?" They didn't answer. Her voice cracked. "This is my life. Please, I am begging you." "You're young," her mom replied. "You're strong. Maybe God has a different path for you." "No," Evangeline said, tears rising. "God gave me science. He gave me medicine. You're the ones turning your backs." Her father stood up. "We said we'd think about it. That hasn't changed." But it had. She could feel it. Their minds were already made up. She just wasn't invited to the decision. "You're getting too caught up in the numbers, Evangeline." Her father said it like he was explaining stock trends, not his daughter's odds of survival. Evangeline's hands tightened in her lap. "Dad, these aren't lottery odds. This isn't roulette. This is medicine. These numbers come from clinical trials, research, science." "And science gets it wrong all the time," he shot back. "They said Marcus wouldn't play football again after his leg injury, but he did." "He hasn't played since high school," she muttered. "Still," her mother chimed in, "doctors always make things sound scarier than they really are. And you've always been strong, Evie. Always." "Strong doesn't mean immortal," Evangeline snapped. There was silence. Her father finally looked at her, really looked, but there was no fear in his eyes, no urgency, just calculation. "We're trying to be practical here," he said. "There's a lot riding on Marcus's wedding. It could help launch his business. Big people will be there." "So," Evangeline's voice cracked, "let them go without shrimp towers, without orchids from Thailand, without a beachfront reception." Her mother gasped. "You don't understand, honey. That's not how things work." Evangeline stared at them. Two people she used to see as protectors, and now they were doing math with her life, and she was coming up as a loss. "He only gets married once," her mother said, gently brushing imaginary lint off a catalog cover. Evangeline stared at her. That sentence hung in the air like a slap wearing a smile. "Right," she said quietly. "And I might only live once." Her father looked up. "Now that's not fair." "No," her voice cracked, "because right now it feels like I'm in some twisted competition with cake flavors and save the dates." "Marcus is under a lot of pressure," her mom said quickly. "This wedding could open real doors for him." "I'm not asking for doors to open," Evangeline snapped. "I'm asking for a chance to survive long enough to see another Christmas." Marcus finally spoke, low and uncomfortable. "Evie, I'm sorry. I really am. But maybe this is just bad timing, you know? Like, if the diagnosis came a year ago." She turned to him stunned. "Are you seriously suggesting I should have gotten cancer on a different schedule?" "That's not what I meant," he mumbled. "But it's what you said." The room went quiet. Evangeline stood slowly. "I get it now. Your once-in-a-lifetime wedding is more important than my once-in-a-lifetime life." "Evie!" "No," she cut in. "I hope it's beautiful. I hope the photos are perfect. Because when you look back on this day, I want you to remember what it cost." Her mother whispered, "Don't be cruel." Evangeline looked her dead in the eye. "Cruel? I'm not the one choosing centerpieces over chemotherapy." And with that, she walked out, not with drama, but with dignity. Because for the first time, she understood. She wasn't part of this family's future. She was a burden they were planning around. The silence was thick. No one moved. Then, for the first time, Bethany spoke up. Her voice was quiet, cautious. Maybe we scale back the guest list a bit. Heads turned. I mean, she stammered, instead of 300, maybe we could do 250, just to free up some funds. Her suggestion floated in the air like a soap bubble, gentle, reasonable, and seconds from being popped. We can't uninvite people, her mother-in-law-to-be gasped. What will they think? That we're trying to save someone's life, Evangeline offered flatly. Her father shook his head. That's not how events like this work. Everything's already printed, already set. But it's not too late to change some things, Bethany said, glancing toward Evangeline. We could... Bethany, Marcus cut in sharply. Let's not get carried away. Bethany blinked. I just thought... This isn't about guilt, Marcus said coldly. It's about doing what's best for everyone. Except Evangeline, she whispered. No one responded. Evangeline watched it happen like a slow-motion collapse. Bethany tried for a second, and she was shut down. Not because she was wrong, but because being right meant admitting someone else was being monstrous, and no one in that room was ready for that kind of honesty. Don't be dramatic, Evangeline. Her father didn't even look at her when he said it. She was shaking, voice raw, eyes red, and still he spoke like she was overreacting to a spilled glass of wine. I'm talking about my life, she whispered. Exactly, so don't make it theatrical, he snapped. Her hands curled into fists. It's not drama, it's dying. You'll be fine, he said. You always are. Then Marcus, sweet, selfish Marcus, chimed in. You always have to be the center of everything, don't you? Excuse me? You get sick and suddenly the entire family has to stop, he scoffed. We've all gone through stuff, Evie. You're not the only one with problems. You're right, she said, voice shaking. But I'm the only one in this room with a tumor trying to kill me. He rolled his eyes. There it is. Always have to be special. She stood frozen. The breath left her body. There it was. Not just dismissal, but resentment, as if her illness was a performance, as if her survival was stealing his spotlight. Later that week, the bank called. Hi, this is First Western Trust. We wanted to confirm some recent activity on the account. Evangeline's heart dropped. What activity? A full withdrawal. $200,000 transferred to multiple vendors. Her breath caught. Vendors? Yes, ma'am. Destination names include venues in Hawaii, catering, florals, a band. Her knees nearly gave out. They hadn't just said no. They had already spent it all. It started like any normal Tuesday. Evangeline was folding laundry when her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Hi, is this Miss Evangeline Pierce? Speaking. This is Sandra from First Western Trust. We just wanted to confirm some recent activity on the family trust account. Her stomach dropped. What kind of activity? There was a full withdrawal yesterday, $200,000, transferred to multiple recipients. Evangeline stood frozen, a pair of socks still in her hand. I'm sorry, what? Yes, ma'am. Multiple transactions. Looks like deposits to vendors based in Hawaii, a resort, a catering company, a floral service, and a musical group. Her throat tightened. That money was supposed to be for medical emergencies. Yes, I understand, but as trustees, your parents have the legal authority to withdraw it at their discretion. Evangeline couldn't speak. Her heart was pounding. Her ears were ringing. Her hands shaking. I'm sorry, the woman on the phone said gently. Would you like me to send you a transaction summary? But Evangeline had already ended the call. Her knees gave out. She slid to the floor, breath shallow, eyes wide. They did it. They actually did it. They spent her chance to live on a wedding. Sunday dinner smelled like roast chicken and betrayal. Evangeline didn't knock. She walked in. She didn't care. They were all at the table. Her mom carving meat, Marcus laughing about centerpieces, Bethany scrolling on her phone, her father sipping wine. The perfect Rockwell painting, if Norman Rockwell ever painted scenes of emotional treason. "You took the money." Everyone froze. Her mother lowered the carving knife. "Now, Evangeline, you took my treatment money for his wedding." Her father set his wine glass down. "It's not your money." Silence. The air left the room. Evangeline blanked. "Excuse me?" "It's the family trust," he continued, "for family needs, and we decided this wedding was a priority. I have cancer, and Marcus only gets married once." Evangeline laughed, a bitter, broken sound. "Right. So my lungs fill with tumors while Bethany picks out fondant swatches. Don't be cruel," her mom snapped. "You already spent my shot at survival on a wedding menu." Marcus spoke smug and irritated. "Look, people survive cancer without fancy treatments all the time." "Your friend's mom had skin cancer," Evangeline snapped back. "I have aggressive adenocarcinoma." "See," he muttered, "always has to be special." Evangeline turned toward the door. "I hope it's beautiful. I hope you get your flowers and shrimp towers and the band from Instagram." "You're being dramatic again," her father said. "No," she said calmly now. "I'm being done." "The wedding is an investment, Evangeline." Her father said it like a banker discussing stocks, not like a man justifying letting his daughter die. "An investment?" she repeated, stunned. "Yes, Bethany's family has connections. Her uncle is on the board of a tech firm Marcus wants to pitch to." "So you're gambling with my life so Marcus can play entrepreneur again." "Watch your tone," Evangeline scoffed. "I'm sorry, I forgot. Dying should be polite." "You're being dramatic," her mom said, reaching for her wine glass. "No, I'm being terminal," Marcus jumped in. "This wedding could open doors for my future. It's not like we're doing this for fun. It's strategic." Evangeline looked at him, the little boy she used to tutor through algebra. The teenager she bailed out of bad decisions. "You've failed 3 businesses. This one's different." "They always are," she whispered. Her dad crossed his arms. "We're thinking about the whole family, Evangeline, not just one person." She laughed, short, bitter. "Then why does your version of family never include me?" No one answered. Because they knew the truth. To them, Evangeline's life wasn't an investment. It was an expense. This wasn't the first time. It wasn't even the worst. But it was the first time she realized no one was coming. It was Marcus's college graduation party. Their backyard was strung with fairy lights and rented chairs. A live band played top 40 covers. Everyone was drinking champagne out of plastic flutes. Evangeline was 23, still in grad school. She'd started to feel it during dinner, a sharp, twisting pain in her right side that made it hard to breathe. She told her mom, "Sweetheart, don't make a scene." "This is your brother's night," she told her dad. "Probably something you ate. Have some ginger ale," she told Marcus. "Can't this wait until tomorrow?" By 10:30 p.m., she was on the bathroom floor, drenched in sweat, vomiting from the pain. No one came looking. No one checked. She drove herself to the ER. Her appendix ruptured on the freeway. Emergency surgery. 4 days in the hospital. Her parents didn't visit until the day she was discharged. "We didn't want to take the spotlight off Marcus," her mom had said. Evangeline never brought it up again, but she never forgot. The room was quiet, too quiet. Evangeline had said everything there was to say. There were no more arguments, no more logic, no more begging, just silence. And then Bethany, still holding her iced matcha latte, tilted her head sweetly and smiled. "You'll still be my maid of honor, right, Evie?" Evangeline stared at her. Did she just hear that right? Bethany blinked, genuinely waiting for an answer as if nothing had happened. Maid of honor. Yeah, Bethany beamed. You'll look so cute in coral, and you can do a speech. Everyone loves your speeches. Evangeline's throat burned. Slowly, with every syllable pulled from the deepest part of her soul, she said, "I'll be dead." The words dropped like stones in a still pond. Bethany's face froze. Her father cleared his throat. Her mother suddenly found interest in her wineglass. Marcus scrolled his phone. No one said anything. No, "we're sorry." No, "let's fix this." Nothing. And in that moment, Evangeline understood everything. She wasn't sick. She was invisible. She picked up her bag. She didn't slam the door. She didn't cry. She just walked out into the cold night air. No apartment, no savings, no family. But something burned in her chest. Not cancer. Fire. The kind that comes right before the storm. The studio apartment smelled like bleach and new paint. It had no view, no furniture, no heat. Just 4 walls, a mattress on the floor, and a leaky faucet that never stopped dripping. But it was hers. Evangeline sold everything to afford the deposit. Her books, her grandmother's jewelry, the last of her vintage coats. She didn't cry when she handed over the keys to her old place. She only cried when she threw up in the sink after her first chemo session and had no one to hold her hair. This was life now. She applied for medical assistance. Waitlisted. Applied for emergency grants. Denied. Started a GoFundMe with trembling hands. 300 came in. Then 600. Then 1,200. From friends. From strangers. From people who said, "Your story broke me. My sister died from the same thing. I wish someone had helped her." Evangeline read every message. At night, when the pain was too much, when the silence made her feel like a ghost in her own life. She held on to those words like they were morphine. Because sometimes compassion from strangers felt more real than love from family. Evangeline's GoFundMe link had a yellow banner, "Fighting Cancer at 29. Please help me stay alive." Just below it, her old high school friends left comments like, "You got this, girl. Sending prayers and $20. Wish it could be more. My aunt went through the same. Don't give up." Strangers from Reddit, nurses she'd never met, even a former professor donated. But not her parents, not Marcus, not Bethany. Instead, on Facebook, they proudly posted a wedding registry link. "We're so excited to celebrate love in Hawaii. Here's our registry." A $700 air fryer, a $2,000 honeymoon fund, crystal champagne flutes. While Evangeline counted quarters for anti-nausea meds, Bethany was posting Instagram polls. Which earring should I wear for the ceremony? One of her dad's golf buddies commented on the GoFundMe, "If your own family won't help you, why should we?" Evangeline didn't reply, but that comment lived in her bones. Like chemo, it burned and then hardened her. He chemo chair felt like a coffin, gray, cold, sterile. Evangeline sat alone, eyes closed, counting the slow drip from the IV. 1 every 6 seconds. She had memorized the rhythm like a lullaby made of poison. The nurse asked if someone would be picking her up. She smiled. "I'm driving myself. Just need a few minutes to stop shaking." After each session, she'd crawl to the bathroom and vomit, sometimes on the floor, sometimes in a trash bag she carried in her purse. The ride home was a blur of red lights and radio static. She'd pull over to cry or to throw up again. The hardest part wasn't the nausea. It was the silence. No one called. No one texted, not even Marcus. The last message from her mom was a heart emoji under a picture of Bethany's wedding dress. Evangeline saved that photo as proof of how far someone can fall before they realize they've been abandoned. Marcus posted a boomerang on Instagram. 2 forks dive into a 3-tier vanilla bean wedding cake. The caption read, "Cake tasting with my queen, #sweet decisions." Evangeline sat on the bathroom floor, one hand on the cold tile, the other holding a clump of her hair. She'd just thrown up blood for the 2nd time that week. Her phone buzzed. A friend had tagged her in the comments under Marcus's post. "How's your sister?" Marcus didn't reply. She lined up her pills on the bathroom counter. 6 for nausea, 2 for pain, 1 to make her sleep. The pill bottles rattled like maracas. She caught her reflection, pale, hollow. Her once thick, curly hair was now a battlefield of patches and baldness. She took a photo not for sympathy, but for proof of the cost, of what they traded away for buttercream frosting. The doctor didn't sugarcoat it. If the tumors don't respond by summer, we stop treatment. You have 6 months at best. Evangeline nodded. No tears, no panic, just a quiet whisper in her mind. What if I die and they never care? She walked home alone that day. The wind hurt her bones. Her scarf smelled like antiseptic and peppermint gum. Her inbox had 2 unread messages, one from the pharmacy, one from Bethany. Bethany's read, "Hey, final dress fitting is June 18. So exciting!" June 18. 6 months. To them, it was the day of floral arches and champagne toasts. To Evangeline, it might be her funeral. "You're among the 15%, the doctor said, almost stunned. Evangeline blinked. "Stable? The tumors. They've shrunk. Not gone, but they're responding." She stared at the scan. Gray and ghostly, but clearer than last time. She wasn't cured, but she wasn't dying. Not yet. That night, she didn't cry. She didn't call her parents. Instead, she stood in front of the mirror, still gaunt, still galled, still scarred, but breathing. Still breathing. For the first time in months, she let herself whisper, "I'm still here." And the silence finally felt victorious. It came in a creamy envelope, heavy, expensive, the kind that screams, "We care about appearances." Evangeline opened it with trembling hands, gold embossing, custom calligraphy. "You are joyfully invited to the wedding of Marcus James Davenport and Bethany Rose Ellison." Joyfully invited? They used her emergency fund to pay for this. Not a call, not a message. No. How are you? Just a golden reminder that her life was worth less than a 6-tier cake and drone footage. She stared at the RSVP card. "Will you attend?" it asked. She wrote 2 words in the blank space, "I survived," and mailed it back. The voicemail was calm, respectful, and unlike anything she expected. "Hi, Evangeline. My name is Leela. I'm a documentary filmmaker. I came across your GoFundMe and I couldn't look away. Would you be open to letting us share your story?" Evangeline blinked at her cracked phone screen. Not pity, not advice, not another sending thoughts and prayers, just 5 words that shook something inside her. "Can we document your story?" For months, no one had even asked how she was. Now someone wanted to listen. Someone cared enough to hit record. She texted back 1 word, "Yes." That single word was the beginning of everything. "We'll keep the mic small," Leela whispered. Evangeline nodded. The device sat just under her collarbone. She could feel it. Every word would be captured. "Are you ready?" She looked in the mirror. No makeup, no wig, just raw skin, thin lips, and tired eyes. And yet, she had never looked more alive. In her purse, a lipstick, her phone, and 2 hidden cameras. She was walking into her parents' house again, not as a daughter, but as a witness. They wanted to forget what they did. She was about to make sure the world remembered. She didn't rent a gown. She wore the same dress they gave her for Bethany's bridal photos, coral satin stiff with memory. Her hair, what little had grown back, was pinned simply. Lipstick red, the exact shade her mother said was too bold for sick girls. In her purse, a wired mic, 2 hidden cameras, printed hospital bills, and the GoFundMe story that strangers saved her with. She smiled into the mirror. A dead woman would be arriving at the wedding, except she wasn't dead. The plan was simple. Show up, smile, expose everything. Lila's crew would be watching nearby. But Evangeline? She'd be walking that aisle with more power than any bride. And just before she stepped out the door, she whispered to herself, "What do you wear to the wedding that cost you your life?" The ballroom smelled like champagne and orchids. Marcus was laughing by the ice sculpture. Bethany posed for photos in front of their 6-tier cake. Then the music paused. A hush swept the room. She walked in, not in a hospital gown, not in a wheelchair, in heels, in that coral satin dress. Her skin was pale, her body thin, but her spine was steel. She was supposed to be dead. A groomsman dropped his drink. Bethany's mother gasped audibly, but it was Marcus's face that said it all. He froze, not in guilt, in fear. And then she smiled. A bridesmaid whispered at first, "She's alive." Then someone dropped a fork. A guest gasped. Heads turned one by one like a wave of disbelief crashing across silk-draped tables. The pastor froze mid-sentence. The DJ turned off the music, confused. Marcus took one step forward, then back. No one clapped. No one welcomed her. They had grieved her. Said things like, "It's so sad what happened to Evangeline." Bethany's cousin had even made a toast at the rehearsal dinner to the ones who couldn't be here. But now she was standing right there, and the room was absolutely terrifyingly silent. At first, relief. Her mother's eyes welled up. Her father even smiled. For a second, "She's alive. Thank God." But that passed fast. As Evangeline stepped closer, calm, beautiful, unshaken, the relief turned into something else. Recognition, not of her life, but of what her life meant now. Cameras were pointed, receipts could be printed, microphones might be on. Her brother's fiancée, Bethany, paled. Her father clutched his drink tighter. Her mother's lip began to tremble, not from joy, but terror. The room knew now. This wasn't a resurrection. It was a reckoning. The mic felt cold in her hand. She looked around the room at the chandeliers, the glimmering crystal, the $12,000 centerpiece of imported white roses. And then she spoke. "6 months ago," she said, her voice calm but sharp, "I was told I'd die." A waiter paused, tray shaking. Bethany lowered her champagne glass. "The treatment that could save me, it cost $200,000. She glanced at the flower wall behind the newlyweds. This wedding cost almost exactly the same. A few guests looked away. She smiled. "But I'm here. Not because of family," her eyes locked on her parents, "but in spite of them." Silence. Thick, charged, unbreathable. "To Marcus and Bethany," she said, raising her glass, "may your union never be tested the way I was, because if it is, I hope you're braver than the people who raised us." She drank. The room did not. No one clapped, no one said a word. Even the DJ didn't resume the music. Just silence. The kind of silence you hear right before a building collapses. The documentary crew didn't flinch. They had the audio, the video, every facial twitch, every averted eye, every wine glass trembling in a guilty hand. And that toast was now in 4K. The footage was uploaded that night, not to a YouTube channel, but to a feature-length exposé called The Cost of Celebration. Within 24 hours, it went viral. 7 million views. By day 3, 29 million. People cried, people raged. Celebrities shared it. And somewhere in a luxury honeymoon suite in Maui, Marcus and Bethany's phones wouldn't stop buzzing. But for Evangeline's family, the worst wasn't over. It was just beginning. The comment section was brutal. "This family deserves to be sued. Evangeline is a warrior. How do you live with yourselves?" The backlash wasn't loud. It was everywhere. Marcus's tech startup, investors pulled out within 48 hours. His biggest client dropped him with a single sentence: "We don't do business with people who let their sisters die." By the end of the week, he filed for bankruptcy. Bethany left, quietly, moved in with her sister, took her ring off before she packed. Their mom, the charity she once chaired, issued a statement: "We've removed Mrs. Lancaster from all events and boards. Our mission is compassion." Her social calendar vanished overnight. Their dad tried to go to work. But clients ghosted him. He walked into his private club and the manager pulled him aside. Members voted, "You're no longer welcome." No lawsuits, no screaming, just the slow, echoing sound of a reputation imploding. The knock on the door wasn't unexpected. She didn't answer. They came anyway. Marcus hollow-eyed, Mom clutching a tissue, Dad, the proud man, reduced to whispers. "We didn't know. We didn't think it would be that bad. Please, Evangeline, we were wrong." She stood silent in the doorway, not angry, not bitter, just calm. "You weren't wrong," she said. "You just didn't care enough to be right." Mom sobbed. Dad looked down. Marcus tried to hug her. She stepped back. "You showed up for the scandal, not for the chemo. Not when I begged, not when I bled. But now when the cameras roll, you want redemption." She held the door. "Family," she whispered, "shows up for chemo." Click. The door closed. 2 weeks later, a small envelope arrived. No return address. Inside was a photo. Bethany and Marcus standing on the beach in Maui. Their wedding day. Sunlight, champagne, a perfect moment. Except one thing was different now. On the back, written in delicate ink, not angry, not messy, but calm, terrifyingly calm. "Beautiful wedding, worth every penny, of someone else's life." Folded with the photo was a note, one line, no salutation, no signature, just this: "You're not family." Your relatives. Family shows up for chemo. The chemo left scars. Her hair grew back slowly. Some days she still wakes up with pain. But the mirror doesn't show a victim anymore. It shows a survivor. A woman who speaks at ethics conferences, who holds hands with patients facing impossible odds, who looks lawmakers in the eye and says, "A family should never be a barrier to survival." Her voice is soft but carries. Her body still healing, but her spirit unbreakable. A second envelope, smaller, thicker. Inside an old photograph, taken from the wedding. A shot of the dance floor. Bethany spinning in her white dress. Marcus laughing. Evangeline is not in the photo, but her presence now is undeniable. On the back, written in steady ink, "Frame this. It cost me everything and gave you nothing." He drops the photo. Fade to black. The screen holds one final line. "Sometimes the ones who try to bury you forget you were a seed." Not all wounds are visible, and not all betrayals come from enemies. Sometimes the ones closest to us will fail us in ways no stranger ever could. But survival is not just about medicine. It's about refusing to disappear. Evangeline's story reminds us that even when love is denied, dignity is still a choice. That family is not who shares your name, but who shows up when it matters. And that sometimes being buried is exactly how a seed learns to rise. If this story moved you, if you felt seen, heard, or even a little less alone, subscribe to our channel. We share real stories of courage, betrayal, and redemption every week. Because someone somewhere needs to know you're not alone, and you are worth fighting for.